is one of the greatest mitzvahs that we see. The Avraham Avinu got rewarded with the mitzvah of tzitzit. And tzitzit is maybe one of the easiest mitzvot to keep. What do you have to do? You just get dressed. Like you put on your vest, you put on your tzitzit, and you're good to go. That's the mitzvah is done. But the greatness of the mitzvah of tzitzit, and that's something which is people don't really know about it. What is the great of mitzvah of tzitzit? Didn't you know that the mitzvah of tzitzit is shkula keneged kol mitzvot? All of the mitzvot is weighed through 613 just for the mitzvah of tzitzit. And I wanted to share with you a story. I just read this today. The story of Rabbi Tzion Bitan. He said one day he was very ill, seriously ill, and the doctors came because they just gave up on him, and they didn't know what to do. They called a special doctor, a famous doctor, came from far away, and he came they asked him to come in the evening. He says, "Listen, I can't deal with him tonight. I'll only come in the morning, and I have to see what's available for him." At that time, he was really on his deathbed, and it was very scary that night, and he was really one step away from death. He said that night he had a dream, and he told his wife and all the people, he said, you don't understand what I saw in my dream. I saw my grandfather, who was a big tzaddik, was called Rabbi Netanel, who was Av Bet Din, and he said to me, you should know that your tzitzit is pasul. That's all he said to me. And I woke up from my dream and I checked my tzitzit, and I bemet is pasul. And I changed my tzitzit to kosher tzitzit. He said, already that was in the night. He changed his tzitzit, and he said from that time he started feeling better until he became strong, and he was completely healed from that. A properly miracle story from the mitzvah of tzitzit. And you see the tzitzit, when a person wears a tzitzit, it's a kedusha that brings a person on his whole body. Ben Ish Chai says the person should never take off his tzitzit, even when you're sleeping during the day, unless you need. So only when you go into the bathhouse, when you're taking a shower, and that's only mikveh, that's when you take off your tzitzit. If it's not getting wet, yeah, even when you're sleeping in your tzitzit, wear your tzitzit. And he said the person doesn't know how great is the value of the mitzvah of tzitzit. If you think about an investment, okay, person wants to invest his money. So you think, I'll invest when I'm young, buy something small, and then I'll add up. Eventually I'll get dividends, I'll get revenue from it. Over a long period of time, 20, 30 years, it pays off. So you got a simple mitzvah that you do nothing. You just get dressed. And a person thinks about, how much is he going to lose? What big hefsed is if we're not doing this mitzvah? Such a simple mitzvah and such big is the reward that it's connected all the mitzvot. Said Latid Lavo, after 120, you go up to Shemaim and they say, okay, what reward do you have? Okay, listen, you did tefillin, you did the kashrut. But look, you could have had tzitzit every day of your life for 120 years and you missed it. And it's so easy. Why don't you do it? So as long as we're alive and we have opportunity to do it, we put on a tzitzit. According to Halacha, you don't have to sleep with your tzitzit, because the tzitzit is only in the daytime. It's of the day. But Ben Ish Chai said there's a special kedusha on it, of wearing it, even at night. But there's another reason for wearing it at night. Because sometimes a person wakes up, so in the winter it's not really usual, but in summer net is 2:30, sunrise is 3 o'clock in the morning. And most people don't get up at that time. People get up 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So in the summer, when you're in bed for 4 hours, you could just be keeping the mitzvah of tzitzit just by sleeping. You know how amazing that mitzvah is, if you can just wear it, especially in the summertime. Or if you're, even in the winter, if you wake up late, maybe Shabbat morning, you want to wake up at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. So you have another 2 hours of keeping tzitzit. So there's extra advantage to that. But halacha, there's no necessary to wear at night. But what's the easy mitzvah? So maybe we just do a few halachot of tzitzit, and we'll end it for today. Says Ben Ish Chai that the power of tzitzit is doche klipot. Rabbi Yaakov Bochatzer says it protects a person from sin, from averot, especially for ta'avot, of arayot, of zima. Tzitzit is the kedusha of tzitzit. says the pasuk, Bet Yaakov lechu v'nelcha be'or Hashem. That when a person holds on to the mitzvah of tzitzit, it's for Am Yisrael, for Bet Yaakov. And then it says in the pasuk, Ve'esa etchem al kanfei nesharim. And nesharim is the gematria of tzitzit. A person is the tzitzit has a power to save a person of Am Yisrael. It's a protection, spiritual protection, but also physical protection. And I'll say this story. I have a good friend. His name is Rabbi Yaakov Babakov. I was once in his father's house, Rabbi Rafael Babakov, and he always wears his tzitzit. You see, his big, he wears like a big tzitzit, always outside. And he said one time he had a miracle that he got saved physically just from his tzitzit. What happened? He melts iron. Tzoref, and he works. He's got his tools and his apron as well, and he works with like discs to cut metal, very like dangerous ones. And he said one time he was cutting metal with this disc. It's very powerful, very high. Obviously wearing gloves, and there's a special leather apron protection and a shield. And the disc got stuck in the metal. Now what happens when it gets stuck? So instead of going round forward, it goes round backwards. And the disc flew. Or maybe it wasn't him, maybe it was his friend or something that was working with him, and it flew into him. The disc just popped out of the machine and went into his stomach, cut through his protective leather apron, cut through his, he was wearing a shirt and an undershirt, and it got his tzitzit. In his tzitzit, it stopped. And now protected him, he wasn't bleeding. He got a wound. Obviously, it was like lethal and dangerous. Just by when it flew off, it was still spinning, and it cut through it, but it stopped there. Until when he said that, he saw it saved his life, he said, I'm never taking off this tzitzit. And I saw the story from my own eyes. He was telling me this story. He said, I felt the power of the tzitzit of protecting me. And you see, you don't know it's protection from spiritual protection, but also the physical protection. We don't understand when we say shakul keneged kol mitzvot, there's a mitzvah of tzitzit. So, a few short halachot. When a person wakes up in the morning, he does the bracha of tzitzit in the beginning of shachrit, and he has in mind lekayem mitzvat aseh lilvosh tzitzit metzuyetzet kilchata. Make sure you have a kasher tzitzit. And is the power also of the tzitzit, is of the bracha of tzitzit, brings the person elevated spiritual. The tzitzit also has a power to affect your memory. Kedei nizkor. Why it says leman tizkeru. V'asitim otam leman tizkeru. And we're supposed to remember all the mitzvot when we do the bracha on tzitzit. This is a Ben Ishchai person should say l'shem yichud, kudsho barichu, before he makes a bracha. Why? And should say hareini muchan, to fulfill the biblical obligation, the mitzvah of tzitzit. So don't just put on a tzitzit and like you put on your socks. When you put it on the morning, you get dressed fine. But when you go into the Beit Knesset and you put on your talit, say l'shem yichud, I'm doing it to fulfill God's creating commandment of putting on tzitzit, bekavana. And also that I should remember all the mitzvot. When you look at tzitzit, you should remember, I'm in God's army. This is my uniform. I'm in the service of Hashem. And you say, if you don't say that l'shem yichud, it's just like yiritem oti mitzvat anashim milumada. The next halacha is what bracha do you make? Litatef betzitzit. Not batzitzit, but you say litatef betzitzit. And you say l'shem yichud when you put on a talit in the morning, you have kavanah to be in the bracha for the talit katan, on the tzitzit that you're wearing. So you have in mind, I make the bracha in the morning, litatef betalit, but also have in mind that the bracha is also for my talit katan. See, when you dress in the morning, you don't make a bracha on the tzitzit. Only when you go to shul, you make one bracha and you have kavanah for both. Especially if you're sleeping with tzitzit katan, so in the morning you don't make a bracha again. Even if you change tzitzit, you don't make again another bracha. Just another 2 or 3 halachot. Litatef betzitzit. Before you make a bracha on the tzitzit, what does a person need to do before he makes a bracha on the tzitzit? what should a person do? Is anyone still with me?
Yes, Rabbi, with you.
Thank you, Mo. What do you need to do before you make a bracha on tzitzit? Can you just make a bracha on the tzitzit? We need to do something first. No, okay. So
wash your hands, maybe that's one thing I can think about.
yeah, so of course wash your hands in the morning, but when you're coming to make the bracha of the tzitzit, there's 3 short things you should do. Number 1 is just check that it's kasher. Says the Ben Ish Chai. Now the Rabbi Vadi said you don't have to check every time. It's just midat chasidut. But what you should check, I don't know if you can see the screen, can you see the tzitzit? I'm just showing you my tzitzit on screen. So just the part where it's on the corner, so make sure that all the strings are whole. Because if one of them is cut, there's already pasel the tzitzit. Now you should check it at least once in a while that you're wearing kosher tzitzit, then you have a chazakah. You don't have to check it every time. The Ben Ish Chai said you should check every time if you have time. Of course, not if you're going to miss tefillah b'tzibur, or if you're in a rush or something, then you can rely on the chazakah. Then it's only midat chasidut. But another thing which you should do is to separate the tzitziot. What does it mean separate them? If these are the strings, before you make a bracha, you split them. There's 8 strings, so you split into 4 and 4, and you split them 2, and each one should be individual. Just let them drop, separate them once, then that's fine. Even afterwards they get a bit tangled, doesn't matter. The fact that you just separated them and you still just takes a second, that is like initiates the power in the tzitzit. Arizal says tzitzit is Rashi Tevot, Tzadik Yud, Tzadik Taf. Tzadik yafrid tzitziotav tamid. And says the Ben Ish Chai, you should do that every day. On Shabbat, it's machloket. Ben Ish Chai said don't do it on Shabbat, and Rabbi Vadi said no, you can even do it on Shabbat, and it's important to do it, especially every day in the weekday. And if you want to do Ben Ish Chai on Shabbat, don't do it, but on weekday do it. According to Rabbi Vadi, even on Shabbat you should do it. And so one thing is to check the tzitzit. We said is midat chasidut, you don't have to, but lafrid, to separate the tzitziot, you should always do that weekday. And according to Rabbi Vadi, also on Shabbat. And the third thing is to give it a kiss. The Tsitsit Talit when you're making a bracha. Show the chabivut of the mitzvah. Even the Ben Ish Chai says if you're going, but if you're traveling, then you don't have to check that it's kasher every time. It says the Ben Ish Chai, even the talit katan that you wear, you should always check it. Also check it beforehand as well. How do you do the atifata talit? So says also Ben Ish Chai that when you put on your talit, you put it first over your head, and you have it just covering your head, and then you cover not your eyes, just cover your head without your eyes, and have it going down on your shoulders like a scarf. And you have like 2 strings on one hand and two corners and 2 corners, all 4 corners at the front, and then you take the right side and you put it over your left shoulder, and then you wait for a count of 2 seconds. And then you put the other 2 on your left over your left shoulder. You make a bracha, and that's atifat on the rosh. Then you put it down, and then you cover up yourself like you normally wear your talit. One more halachot. What happens if? If you take off your talit katan, you're going into the shower. Let's say you're in the gym, you're wearing a tzitzit, then you should always also exercise with a tzitzit on. That's also protection. That's a big mitzvah. It's free. You don't have to wear a kippah, but tzitzit, you should wear a tzitzit. If you can wear a cap or kippah, also good. It remembers you Yirat Shamayim. But tzitzit, why not? Unless you're at nighttime. If you're at nighttime, then take it off. But if it's during the day, you have a mitzvah. Chaval, why not? Can I get kol mitzvot? Keep your tzitzit on. So yet you go to the shower, and now you want to put on your tzitzit. You make a bracha, or you don't make a bracha. Tzitzit katan. If you take it off. So it's important halacha to know. If you take off your tzitzit, or if you're in the middle of shul, Bet Knesset, you take off your talit and you go to the bathroom. You come back after 5 minutes. You make a bracha.
You don't need to do bracha.
Oh, very good. So Mama says you don't need to make a bracha. If you take off your talit, you go to the bathroom, you come back, you put on, you don't make a bracha. If you go to the shower, no.
I guess it's the same. I don't know about
Same thing.
yeah.
Same thing. You don't make a bracha. If you take it off and you put it back on, you don't make a bracha on it. But says the Ben Ish Chai, you should make a bracha beherhur, because it's machloket poskim safek brachot la'akel. What does it mean beherhur? That means you just think the bracha. You don't need to say it, but you think it. Now it's very important. There's two exceptions to this. One exception if you have a long break. If it's more than a half an hour break, then it says you come back and you make a bracha.
Even if you're still in the same place?
That's why I saw Rabbi brings down in Sefer Alichot Olam. If it's more than half an hour.
With the talit katan, yeah. So once you put it on, it's still underneath all your garments.
Clothes.
When
Yes.
you don't make the bracha then, right? You're still a bit undressed.
Do you want to explain the question again?
So you've just put your sitza on.
Yes.
There's parts of you like your arms and whatever.
Oh yes. No. So what do you do? So that's what we said. If you're putting on the tzitzit in the morning, okay, then you don't make a bracha. When you go to shul and you put your talit, then you have in mind, your talit is poter for the bracha of the talit katan.
So then after the shower.
After the shower, so after the shower you put it on, you don't make a bracha again.
At all, like a
No.
nighttime.
No, nighttime is not, but even in the daytime, unless it's a very long time. Let's say if you go to the beach for 2 hours, or you go to the swimming pool for 2 hours, it's a long break, then you go and you do a bracha. And according to the Ben Ish Chai, you do litatef betzitzit. That's one exception. The other exception is if you change your beged. Let's say you enter the mikveh or swimming pool or mikveh, let's say Erev Shabbat, and then you got your Shabbat tzitzit. You want to put on a Shabbat tzitzit after the mikveh. So you took off your old tzitzit, you had a break, other have a longer take. Then you're putting on a different beged, then you make a bracha litatef betzitzit on a talit katan. So it makes sense that like you're saying, first get dressed, put on your trousers, put on your vest, and then put on your tzitzit, and then you can make a bracha on your kippah and you can make a bracha on tzitzit. So that was two exceptions. Now, if you take it off, you don't make a bracha. However, what happens if your talit falls off? You don't take it off, but it falls off. Falls on the floor. You give it a kiss. Now you put it back on. You make a bracha or you don't make a bracha?
No.
What?
No, you don't make a bracha.
Don't make a bracha. So it depends. And it's halacha, you need to remember this as well. Because it's very common. Talit slips off a lot. Especially in Shabbat, it falls off. If you're walking, it falls off. So it depends. If it falls off partially, you just put it back on and you don't make a bracha. Even if most of it falls off, then you just put it back on and you don't make a bracha. As long as there's a little bit still hanging on. But if it totally falls off, then you make a bracha when you put it back on. Now, what's the difference between if it falls off or if you take it off? Because we said if you take it off and you go to the bathroom, you come back, you don't make a bracha. But if it falls off on its own, then you do make a bracha. Why?
Because you didn't intend that to happen.
Exactly. When you take it off, you have your intention to take off and put it back on. But if it just falls off, you didn't have intention to take it off and put it back. So you make a new bracha to put it back on. So maybe it's an idea. Just if you see a talit slipping off, quickly catch it before it falls off. Then you save yourself from the bracha. Or if you can't catch it, then maybe have in mind that you're going to put it back on. Then you can put it back on without a bracha. The last halacha is if you buy a new talit, you make a bracha shechianu on the talit, or you don't make shechianu on talit.
You do.
Of course you do. Of course you make a shechianu on talit. What do you make bracha first, shechianu or litatef betzitzit?
Litatef.
Exactly. You first make litatef, and then shechianu. And you remember, it's a big simcha when you're wearing a new talit. You make it, if you're happy with it, even a talit katan, you don't make shechianu. Unless it's a very special talit katan and you're very samach and you're happy about it, and it's something chashuv for you, then you can make shechianu. But on a simple thing, if it's just a small talit katan, you don't make a bracha on it. When do you make shechianu talit? At night? By chuppah.
B'Kippur?
Kippur, we make a, no, very important. Kippur, you wear it at night on Kol Nidre, but you make a bracha beforehand, before nightfall. If you wear it afterwards, you don't make a bracha on it. If you come late to shul on Kippur, you don't make a bracha on tzitzit. Only if you wear it beforehand. B'tetef b'tzitzit. But Chatan, on his chuppah, you make shechianu on the talit, even if it's at night, without the bracha of the tzitzit, just on the beged. But even then, you have to make sure that it's kasher. Last thing. No, okay, we'll stop there. We'll stop tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. Thank you for staying with me. I enjoyed sharing with you. Thank you for staying. Just let's remember when we're putting on our tzitzit, what important mitzvah we're doing. That we do it with happiness, with simcha. We're representing HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world, and we'll be zocheh to be one of the soldiers in Hashem's kingdom, and Shei Malchuto al Kol Haaretz. It will be Melech on the whole world. Be'ezrat Hashem, see King Mashiach in the world. Thank you for joining me, Shia. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank
Very
you.
much for joining me.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat Shalom.
For your participation and involvement. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy your Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you.
חזק וברוך.